First of all, fundraising, right? So you can definitely use the grant to, appear on keywords related to fundraising, donations, tax deductible items, things like that. It's up to you to choose the keywords, but none of them are, limited or anything like that. So you can definitely promote fundraising programs. Then you can also promote e-commerce. And so if your organization sells something, and if your organization uses revenue from these sales to fund your programs, fund your mission, etc., and you can also promote those products with Google AdWords. You can also promote your brand. You can promote your programs, your online resources. You can use it to recruit volunteers, for instance, or promote events, etc., etc. So there's a few examples, but obviously, if you do something else, very likely you might promote it too. There are a few no's on the other hand. So, for instance, you cannot promote brands that are not owned by your organization, right? So, when you get approved for the grant, Google approves your organization. They approve the domain that you use, and you can only promote that. So you cannot use branded terms of other organizations, and you also cannot bring people to different domains, right? So that's something to keep in mind. You cannot use single word keywords, right? So for instance, when we come back to fundraising, you cannot just use a keyword donation, right? You can promote something like tax deductible donation or organizations that I can donate to or something like that. So more complex sentences or strings of words are fine, but single word keywords are not allowed. Content on third-party domains, I've already mentioned that one. Retargeting, what is retargeting? And retargeting is a strategy where you show ads repeatedly to people who visited your website but did not do what you want them to do, right? So this is a very efficient online marketing strategy, but unfortunately it isn't fully supported in the grant account. And you also cannot run banner campaigns and video campaigns, right? Google obviously supports these formats, but they only support them in commercial Google Ads accounts. So if you want to use them, you need to have a separate commercial account. And you also cannot use it to run strictly commercial advertising, which means, again, if you have an e-commerce functionality, and if you use this revenue for something else than funding your nonprofits, you cannot promote it with Google AdWords. Next slide, please. How to get on board? So I've talked about Google for Nonprofits account. Once you have this account, you just log in, you activate Google AdWords. Again, during the activation, Google will ask you to fill an online survey. They might also ask you to fill in a short online training. And afterwards, like I said, they take a few days to consider your application. If everything looks good, they'll send you an email confirming your acceptance into the program. And this email will include a link that you can click, and that link will take you to the account, right? So Google creates Google Ads account for you. They'll send you an invitation that you need to accept, and then you can log into the account and start using it. And then after you get into the account, you might need to accept terms and conditions. On the top, there's a ribbon, and you need to click on accept, and then that's really it. And then you can use the grant. Next slide, please. This is what the acceptance email looks like. So on the top, you see, it's Google for Nonprofits, and then they basically inform you that you've been accepted, and they tell you what are the next steps to get access to your account. Next slide. My recommendation after you get into the program is to do this initial check. So what I mean by that, once you, like I said, get into the account for the first time, the interface of the grant account and commercial Google Ads account is identical, right? And that might be confusing because sometimes people use different email addresses to access their Google Ads accounts. Sometimes it's not in which email has been used to log into the account, which means that sometimes you might think that you've logged into the AdWords account, but actually that might be a different commercial account that you've created in the past, etc. And obviously, this could be a costly mistake because if you're in the commercial account, thinking about, thinking that this is a grant account and you would create campaigns, and these campaigns will not use grant money, but they'll actually use your own money, and then you might, get a surprising invoice from Google, which is something that you should prevent at all costs. And you can prevent it by doing this initial check, which means that once you get into the Google Ads account for the first time, on the tab, you can click on Tools, and then from Tools, you can go to Billing. And when you go to Billing, you should see something like this. So when you see something like this payments account is not billed, that means that it's an ad grants account, right? In an ad grants account, there's no credit card, there's no payment method attached, and you'll never need to pay anything to Google. But again, the only way to check whether that account is a grant account or commercial account is by going to billing. And if you see something like this, that's a grant account. If you see credit card information, then that's a commercial account. Next slide, please. And now campaign creation. So once you get into the account, obviously the first step is to create a campaign. How to do that? You'll see a big plus button in the account. When you click it, it will take you to a campaign creation setup, which looks like this right now. And by the way, Google changes this, but right now it looks like this. And as a first step, they'll ask you to choose your objective, right? And you see different objectives, but again, this interface is identical in the grant account and commercial account. In the commercial account, you have all sorts of different formats. You have video, you have banners, etc., etc. You still see these options even in grant accounts, but obviously you cannot select them. So it's a little bit confusing, and you need to know what to click. My recommendation is to click on the last option there, which is create a campaign without goals guidance. When you click on that, they will give you all the options, right? If you click on any other option, they will limit your options in the next steps, right? So my recommendation is to always click on the last one, and then they'll show you a next step, which is a selection of campaign type. Again, in the grant account, you can only run search campaigns, but Google will still show you the other options because the interface is identical. So you need to click on the first one, which is search. Next slide, please. Then they'll ask you to select bidding method. And for those of you who do not have experience with Google Ads, I'll just quickly explain what this is. Basically, Google Ads works as an advertising auction, right? So you, as an advertiser, you select keywords and then you place bids. And very simply put, whoever bids higher for the keyword, their ad will appear on the better position within the Google search results. It's not that easy. There are different factors that Google takes into consideration. But basically, you place bids, and other advertisers also place bids on certain keywords, and then whoever bids higher, gets a higher chance for their ad to appear. And now, when you select these bids, you can either select them manually. So you basically say to Google, I'm willing to pay up to $1 a click, okay, for instance. But in Google Ads accounts, you need to choose automated bidding. And this automated bidding means that you do not specify the bid yourself, but you basically say, okay, Google, please check who are the people who convert on our website. And by converting, I mean completing valuable actions on your website, like donating or contacting you or subscribing to newsletter, etc. So you can feed this data into the Google Ads system. The system learns, they understand who are the people who convert on your website, and then whenever somebody with similar profile to these people search for one of the keywords, then they'll increase bids automatically because the system knows that if this person clicks on your ad and lands on your page, then the likelihood that this person will convert is high based on previous historical data, right? So when you create new campaign in a grant account, you should always choose this option, which is bidding focused on conversions. Next slide, please. Then again, Google will then ask you about network settings, and again, they show you search network and display network. As I've already mentioned a few times, in client accounts, you can only do search. And then they also show you an option to include search partners. So, you can place your ads not just within Google search, but Google has different partner websites. You can place your ads there too. But this feature is not supported in Google AdSense accounts. You need to leave it blank, which is what you see here. So you should select search networks and leave the option, the box there blank. And then the next question or the next choice that you need to make is location targeting, right? Obviously, it only makes sense to run your campaigns in areas that you actually serve, all right? And they could be one city, they could be one county, it could be the entire state or country. It's up to you. But you always need to select targeting. You cannot select all locations because that would result in compliance, and I'll explain that a little bit later. So just make a choice and choose the most appropriate location targeting here. Next slide, please. Now, there are a few other options. Obviously, Google asks you to write ad copies, etc., etc. The whole process is, takes a few steps. But my recommendation when you create a new campaign is to think about it a little bit, before plan the whole campaign before you start clicking into those options within the Google Ads interface. And what I mean by planning is to first think about a campaign structure, right? So when you promote your nonprofit, you should think about obviously what are your goals? What do you want to reach by this campaign, right? And you can create one campaign, but you can create multiple campaigns. So for instance, you might want to promote your brand, but you may also want to promote an event. You may also want to recruit volunteers, right? So then you can have one campaign for each of these goals, right? Or you might have different goals, and then et cetera, et cetera. So you should first think about what you want to achieve, right? And then create campaign structure that reflects your goals. Once you have that, then you should perform keyword research. So Google has a tool called Google Keyword Planner. Within the Google Ads interface, you can access this tool. And when you put in certain keywords, Google gives you variations of these keywords, different synonyms, phrases including these keywords, etc. And they also give you estimates on how many people search for these keywords. And it's very useful on creating keyword lists, right? So each campaign needs to have a set of keywords, and using this tool, you can get those lists easily. Then the next step is to prepare ad copies, right? So each campaign should have a unique ad copy that reflects those goals and that uses the keywords that you just mined, right? Because Google needs relevancy, right? So the keywords that you target should be also included in the ad copies. When we create campaigns for our clients, we create all ad copies within Google or Google Sheets or Excel, for a simple reason, because we know the keywords, and in the spreadsheet tools, we can easily create the ads, we can create all the headlines, all the description lines, and then we run it by the client, and the client needs to approve it, right? So that's how we do it, and my recommendation would be for you to also do it like that. And once you have the keywords and the ad copies, then there's one more step that's quite important, and that's configuration of conversion tracking. So in other words, what are the actions that you want people to complete on your website? And then once you define these actions, you should make sure that you can track these actions within Google Analytics or any other website tracking tool. And once you configure these conversions, you should then link Google Analytics with Google Ads to make sure that you can track the actual results that these campaigns bring to your organization. Once you're done with all this, then you should create campaigns, which means uploading all the keywords, uploading all the ads into the Google Ads system. Again, making sure that you create the campaign correctly, following those tips that I've given you in the previous slides. And then once you're done with that, then you can launch your campaigns, and then you'll start seeing results. You start seeing clicks, impressions, conversions coming into the system, and then you should analyze this data and make changes as needed. Next slide, please. Campaign creation and optimization. So I basically just explained this. I don't think we have too much time, so over here I want to show you in the account how to do that, but I'll just repeat myself so we can move on and we can talk about compliance now. So compliance, how to prevent account deactivation. So just a few words here. Google has a set of about 10 different compliance requirements. And what I mean by that is that these requirements need to be met in Google Ad Grants account for you to stay in the program, right? So Google Ad Grants is not limited by time and it's not limited by the total amount, all right? So once you get approved, every day you get $329. So on a standard month, that equals to roughly $10,000. And you get it every single day, right? But every month your account needs to be compliant, which means that it needs to follow all these requirements that I'll talk about right now. If your account isn't compliant, they'll give you a warning via email, or they'll show a little ribbon in your account, and they'll give you some time to fix those problems. And if those problems aren't fixed, then your account might get deactivated, which means that you basically lose the grant, right? But assuming your account is compliant, you keep getting the grant every day, you can use it for years to come. We have some organizations that started in 2004 and they still use it, right? So it's very important to understand what the compliance requirements are and how you can stay compliant. Next slide, please. Google has a video. I assume that this presentation will be distributed to you, so you can just click on this, and we don't need to watch it now, but I just want you to be able to look at it at home. I think it's nicely created and nicely explained. But again, we don't have time for that now, so I'll just tell you now what the requirements are. The first one is related to minimum CTR. For those of you, again, who are not familiar with Google Ads, CTR stands for click-through rate. So basically a ratio between clicks and impressions that a campaign generates. And Google prescribes a minimum click-through rate of 5%, and it's an account average. So it means that all campaigns created in your account, every calendar month, the click-through rate ratio needs to be at least 5% for you to be compliant. Now, how to do that? So if you see that your CTR is below 5%, my recommendation is to test latest ad formats. So Google keeps introducing new ad formats. Typically, these newer formats are larger. They're more prominent in Google search results, and people are more likely to click on them. So that increases the CTR. You should work on the page relevance. So, adding keywords to the ads, adding keywords to your landing page. That helps too. You can test different creatives. So if your current ads are not very attractive, you can rewrite them. You can highlight different things. You can add new keywords, etc. And what you can also do is that you can remove low CTR keywords. So if you have long keyword lists, you can take a look at your keywords, and perhaps there are a few that have very low CTR, and that drags the entire account down. So you can just remove those keywords, and that will help you to increase the average CTR. Next slide, please. This is what it looks like. So this is a Google Ads account, and on the top you see that they're in the time selector, we selected last month, and then you see that CTR in this example is more than 8%. So that's compliant. You see CTR there below 5%, then you need to work on those ad copies, relevancy, and those other things that I mentioned. Next slide, please. And now the second compliance requirement is related to keyword quality. So Google says that you can't have active keywords with quality score 1 or 2. And now I know it is a little bit technical, but basically Google gives all keywords that you have in the account, they give them a quality score, which is a number from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. And that keyword, that quality score is a summary metric which, the largest part of it is relevancy, right? So basically, Google doesn't want to show ads that are not relevant to keywords that use for targeting, right? So again, coming back to fundraising example, if you use a keyword, tax deductible donation, let's say that's a keyword that you want to appear on, then your ads should also include that phrase, tax deductible donation. If it doesn't include it, then your relevancy will be low and your quality score for that keyword will be also low. And now if for certain keywords, quality score, falls below 3, so if it is 1 or 2, then that keyword isn't compliant anymore and you need to pause it, right? And Google reviews it on a monthly basis. Again, you might have hundreds, sometimes thousands of keywords in the account, and it's just not possible to manually check all the quality scores keywords. So there are automated rules that you will keep them paused automatically, and Google also helps with that. So they also apply these rules automatically in new accounts, etc. So Google helps here, but in case you see that some keywords have these low quality scores, you should pause them immediately to make sure that the account is still compliant. Next slide, please. And I mean, again, this is just an example. You can use on the left-hand side. You see how to configure a rule like that. So you can select over there all keywords, and you can create these conditions. Its quality score is 1 or 2, then pause those keywords. Right? So you can create a rule like that yourself. Or on the left hand or on the right hand side, you can see Google Ads Editor, which is an offline tool that you can use to edit Google Ads, and you can filter out those keywords with low quality scores like this. It will show you all the keywords. You can then select all of them and you can pause them. So those are 2 ways to do that. Then next slide, please. And now account structure. So Google also has requirements related to how the account is structured. And they basically say that every campaign needs to contain at least 2 active ad groups. Now what it is, when you create a campaign, let's say you create a donation campaign, right? Within the donation campaign, you cluster keywords into certain themes, right? So for instance, you can have one ad group, which is one keyword theme basically, and it can be, for instance, like I said, tax deductible donation. Another one could be, for instance, Giving Tuesday, right? Etc. 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 Right? So when you create these keyword lists, you should break them down into groups, and then these groups are basically called ad groups, and you can have multiple ad groups in each campaign. And in advanced accounts, you need to have at least 2 ad groups like that in every single campaign. And now within each ad group, you need to have at least one unique responsive ad, right? So Google has different ad formats. Now this responsive ad is one of the latest formats, and you need to have at least one ad like this in every single ad group. And you also need to have at least 2 site link extensions. And the site link extensions are basically additional links that appear within your ads, and these links can lead to different sections of your website. And again, it just helps to make the ad more prominent and to give more options for people to click on. And now how to do that? So you need to think about these compliance requirements when you create new campaigns. So when you think about the campaign structure and the ad group structure, think about these requirements and make sure that you always have at least 2 ad groups in each campaign. When you then pause something, always think about creating a replacement for that, and just use ad extensions. So use ad extensions as much as possible. Do not just use the site link extensions, but also use call extensions, call out extensions, etc., etc., etc. It all helps to make the ad more prominent and more likely to be clicked on. Next slide, please. And here's an example. So you can see there on top that that's one campaign that we run for one of our clients, and you can see that there are 4 ad groups in that campaign. And one of these ad groups, the first one is open, and you see that there are two ad copies, right? So this is what it should look like. And below this screenshot, you see one more screenshot that shows you setting extensions, and you see that this campaign includes 4 setting extensions like this. Next slide, please. And geo-targeting, I briefly discussed that in the beginning, but Google basically says that you cannot target all countries. You need to select an area for targeting that is actually served by your organization. And like I said, it can be one city, but it can be also county, state, country, whatever it is, but you just cannot target the entire world, right? And so this one is quite simple. You can also target different combinations of locations and languages, right? So if you work with minorities, for instance, you can select, let's say, LA and Spanish, right? So that way you can then target Hispanic community in LA, for instance, right? But you can choose any combination of location and language, and you can also have multilingual accounts. You can have campaigns in different languages, et cetera. Right? So all of this is allowed. Next slide, please. So this is one of our clients, and they provide trainings in different states, like in Washington and Oregon. And you can see here, we created 2 campaigns, one that ends with OR that targets Oregon, and then we created another campaign specifically just for Washington. And then we have unique ads and unique landing pages in each of these campaigns, and it's all geo-targeted to appropriate area. All right, so if you target multiple areas, it's a way to do that. Next slide, please. And now conversion tracking. So Google says that you need to configure conversion tracking, and you need to track at least 1 conversion action per month, right? Google doesn't say what the conversion should be, so it's up to you to define it. And again, my recommendation would be to look at your website and create a list of all meaningful actions in your website, like donations, contact initiations, phone calls, newsletter subscriptions, event registrations, etc., etc. So create a list of everything that makes sense for you to track, and then configure it within Google Analytics and link Google Analytics to Google Ads, right? So that's, it sounds simple. It might be a little bit technical. As you can see here, you can do it. You can track different actions in your website by adding these codes. And these codes, basically, every time somebody clicks on the link or clicks on the button, this code ensures that this information is being transmitted to Google Analytics. You can also do it via Google Tag Manager, and that different other ways. If you're not into coding, obviously you can just tell to your web admin to configure conversion tracking, and the web admins should know how to do that. This is standard task, so just leave it on your web admin if you don't know how to do it yourself. And here's an example. This is one of our clients. You can see here they have different conversion actions configured, and they, for instance, track downloads of different resources, but they also track things like workshops completions, submissions of volunteer forms, donations, etc., etc., etc. Right? So they have different conversion elements on their website, and we created 1 conversion action for each one of them, and we track them in Google Ads. And that way we can then assess, okay, from this campaign, this many people clicked on the ad, and out of them, this many people converted, right? And then by comparing the different campaigns, we can calculate what's the cost per conversion here, what is it here, how do we distribute the budget, etc., etc., etc. So it is very important to have this kind of conversion tracking in place. Now, even if you do everything all right, something might happen. Your CTR might go down, or you might pause something, then your campaign structure isn't compliant, etc., etc. So it happens that accounts get deactivated. What to do if that happens? So we internally developed this tool, which you can find on our website, abovexdigital.com/account-audit. So you can use that if you have an existing account, that will audit your account automatically and will tell you if it is or if it isn't compliant. Yeah. Also, Google sends you notifications, and if you get a notification like that, act on it quickly. Google typically gives you 30 days to fix it, but the faster you do it, the better. And Google has a tool which you can find on this link, and you can then, after you fix the problem, you can then reach out to Google and ask them to reactivate the account, right? So if that happens, then they'll take a look at your account, and if it has been fixed, then they'll reactivate your account. You can keep using the grant, and obviously you can contact me, or we can do the audit and take a look at it for you if you need it. To give you a few other tips on how to stay compliant, how to maximize your campaign performance, experiment with bidding strategies. I've talked about a little bit in the past. Like basically, use automated bidding strategies. So configure conversions and then let Google use this data to optimize bids for you. It just works the best. If you get notifications, follow them. Again, quickly, Google changes the program. Recently, Google, for instance, stopped supporting Google Analytics free. Everybody had to transition to Google Analytics 4, et cetera, et cetera. So there are constant changes, and you need to follow them, to stay ahead of your competitors, I guess. You should be active, so do not just set it up and leave it like that. Check what works in your account, check which keywords generate traffic, which ad copies work, try to improve them, try to add more keywords similar to those that worked in the past, et cetera, et cetera. Experiment with website content. So if you see that there are some keywords that work very well in the Google Ads account, create content that's optimized for these keywords. Or if you create new content on your website, promote it in ads, et cetera. So content creation and Google Ads should be synced. And you can also try commercial Google Ads accounts. So if you fully use Google Ad Grant's potential and you want more, you can experiment with commercial ads. You can try banner campaigns, video campaigns, and those more attractive formats that are not supported in Google Ad Grant's account. And it just works very well for many of our clients. Next slide, please. Case study. So I've talked about a few different things today, and again, some of you might be familiar with Google Ads, some of you might not be familiar with Google Ads. So I want to use the last few minutes to give you an example and show you how we work with our clients. And this organization is called Us Against Alzheimer's. We've been working together a while ago, and they basically wanted us to audit their existing Google Ads account and improve performance of their account. Next slide, please. And they specifically wanted us to focus on these 4 things. The first thing was to increase the ad grant utilization to over 95%, right? So what that means is to basically ramp up their campaign so they use at least 9.5 thousand from the grant every single month. This might sound like an easy task, but the reality is that the average ad grant utilization across all nonprofits participating in the program is only about $500, right? So most nonprofits do not choose the right keywords. They either choose keywords that are not searched very often, or they choose keywords that are very competitive, and then their ads do not appear very frequently. And Google only deducts a certain amount from the grant when people click on the ad, right? So not when the ad appears, but people need to click on it, right? So for that reason, it's not always that easy to use the grant. And their goal was, or their task for us was to ramp it up to use at least 95%. They wanted to get at least 6,000 page visits or clicks, essentially, from the campaign per month. And they didn't just want any clicks, but they wanted to also improve the quality of the traffic in terms of bounce rate, so less bounces, and they wanted us to bring traffic with longer session duration and higher number of pages per visit, right? And they also want us to help them with conversion tracking implementation, so that they can actually track clicks on different buttons, submissions of forms, etc. Those were our objectives. And we first started with the campaign structure. I talked about that too. I encourage all of you to start with campaign structure. For this client, it looked like this, right? So we sat down and we said, okay, you have this and this goals, and this would be the optimal campaign structure. So let's focus on keywords around Alzheimer's, generic keywords. Let's go after people who do their research about this disease, or perhaps family members of people who have the disease, etc. And then let's have another campaign that promotes talks, which was their podcast series. Then have a donation campaign, brand campaign designed to attract volunteers, etc., right? So we created campaign structure that looked like this. And again, this will be unique to every organization, but you should sit down, think about it, and lay it down in a form similar to this. Next slide, please. Then we created ads for them, right? These are some of the ads that we created. Again, we did the keyword research. We knew what were the top keywords. We tried to use these keywords in ads in different places, right? So for instance, the first ad, we focused on symptoms of Alzheimer's. Then with the second one, we focused on news. So people who are following news about the disease, progress, etc. And then the third one was designed for researchers and people who are professionally, involved in disease research. Next one, please. And then we also created ad extensions. I mentioned those. You need to use these site links, which are basically links that link to different parts of the page. So we created site links that you can see here. And we also created call outs. And these call outs are basically short text where you highlight certain competitive advantages, etc. So we created something like this. Next slide, please. And then analytics setup. So again, we sat down, we reviewed their website, and we compiled a list of all different conversion actions on their website. As you can see here, for instance, they had links to different social networks. So we said, okay, we want to track those. And then we said, okay, let's track contact initiations via contact form, emails, etc. So every time somebody clicks on these emails, we want to track it as a conversion. And then we also to track if somebody virtually signs a petition and sign newsletter, etc., right? So all of this was created, and then in Google Analytics we defined all of these as conversions, and we synced it with Google Ads so that we could track all of this and attribute it all the way back to keyword, campaign, etc. Next slide, please. And then we optimized their campaigns. So after we went live with new campaigns, we watched which keywords triggered their ads. And there were obviously keywords that were of high quality, right? So we then added keywords similar to those, right? Those are the green ones, but there are also some red ones, right? And those are keywords that triggered our ads. So our ads appeared on these keywords, but the quality wasn't good, right? So either these keywords weren't compliant, or people who clicked on these ads from these keywords did not complete conversions on their website, right? So we didn't want to just waste the budget, but we wanted to bring quality traffic, right? So if we saw keywords like that, then we excluded them, which basically means that Google will not show ads on these keywords anymore, right? So that's actually the optimization of the account. Next slide, please. And we also tested different landing pages, right? So in some campaigns, we were not sure which landing page would perform the best because they had a complex website and different landing pages, etc. So we said, okay, let's make a test. So we'll have a same ad text, but we'll create two variations, and we'll take people to two different landing pages, right? Then we'll run it for a while, then we'll evaluate it. As you can see here, for instance, in this first campaign, which is this generic Alzheimer campaign, we created two versions. You can see the URLs there, and you can see the results after a while. And there was a clear winner, right? There was one variation that had a better conversion rate, so we applied that one, right? And sometimes the results were not conclusive, but the idea here is that you have all the data. You can test all elements of the campaign, and then if you see a winner, then you should just either pause the loser, or you can create different variations of the winner and continue the test. And that way you can learn based on the data and fine tune the ads, fine tune the keyword lists, even the the landing pages. Next slide, please. And now these are the results of the test. It took this cooperation, lasted 3 months, and after 3 months, they saw a 15% increase in ad clicks, roughly 190 new conversions tracked on their website. Their average ad grant utilization increased to 96%, and their bounce rate decreased by 19%. And you can also see the chart down there that shows you clicks and conversions. After we started to work together, we created new campaigns. Conversions went up, clicks went up, and they were overall very happy with the results, and we then continued the cooperation based on this initial trial. Next slide, please. Get help. So I'd like to conclude this presentation by telling you a few words about our services, how we can help you if you're interested. So next slide, please. So why us? We, like I said in the beginning, we are a Google certified professional agency, but obviously there are a few more agencies that also specialize on Google Ad Grants for nonprofits. So why you should work with us and not with other guys? So obviously we work just with nonprofits. We do not take any commercial clients, and we really, our bread and butter is Google Ad Grants. Our pricing is fair, and it's linked to how much of the grant we use. So if we use a small part of the grant, obviously the fee will be also small. As it progresses, as we use more and more of the grant, as you get more results, the fee also grows. But it's always fair, and it's also predictable. Again, but we have complete pricing on our website. We offer free account audits. So if you have an existing account, if you need help with how to improve it, if you need to know if it is compliant, etc., you can just reach out, and we'll help you audit your account for free. We also offer free initial consultations. We don't have any long-term commitment. We offer 100% visibility, meaning you have access to your account at all times. We'll also create dashboards that will show you exactly the progress, that will show you, how many clicks, impressions, conversions, etc., your campaigns generated. And last but not least, we have close relationship with Google, which gives you access to new features and premium support, right? So in case there is a problem, if your account gets deactivated or whatever the problem is, we will take that to Google Ad Grants team, and we'll get a result quickly. Next slide, please. And we offer free services, or we can either help you with complete account management, so we can help you process the application and then create campaigns, optimize them, and send you reports, and make sure that your account stays compliant. It's an all-inclusive solution that most of our clients use. We can also help you with one-time account audits. If you have an existing account, you just need to know what to improve. We can take a look at it and provide you with account audit report. And last but not least, we can also arrange Google Ad Grants training. Obviously, this is an introductory training, but we can take a look together at the more detailed, more in-depth topics within Google Ad Grants. Next slide, please. I'd like to conclude this with questions. I don't know if we have any time left, but if we do, and if you have questions, please let me know. If we don't have time for that, you have my email address, I assume, which will be on the next slide. And I hope Jackie will also share it with you. So if you have any specific questions, and if you can't ask them now, then please go ahead, send me an email. I'll be happy to to answer them, and also if some of you are interested in, like I said, auditing your accounts or helping with the application, etc., you know, please also reach out, and I'll be happy to help you out. And again, thank you for joining us today. Sorry for the technical problems in the beginning, and I hope that you've I hope that you use this information to try Google AdSense, and it is a wonderful program that helps many clients, and it has a huge potential. So please use this information to do further research and test this program. I hope that it will bring you a lot of benefits. So thank you again for having me, and enjoy the rest of this conference.
All right, so that concludes our first speaker for the day. That was Peter Sima. He's actually in Europe, so as you guys know, we had some issues connecting to him. Hopefully, you guys, that was worth it, based on what you saw. Obviously, Google Ads, I'm sure you guys learned a few things that you can apply to your organizations as well. So just one other quick housekeeping thing before we get to our next